I quite literally can't believe that I'm saying this right now, but welcome to my YouTube. It's probably been about 10 years since I've made a YouTube video, and we're used to the clock app now. But thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so excited to finally expand upon some of my content and bring it over to some other channels. If you already follow me on my TikTok, then you probably are a little bit familiar with some of my content, but for those of you who don't, my name is Shania, and I primarily do book content. I'm a romance reader, a spicy book reader, smut reader. We read it all over here. I also drop in some occasional vlogs, lifestyle things, and everything in between. Since this is my first official YouTube video, I wanted to do something just a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more casual, a little get to know me. So I asked you guys to ask me some questions on my Instagram account, and I also thought up a couple of like fun ones to add in there as well. So without further ado, we're just gonna get into some of the questions. Just a cute little drinky drink first. Am I weird for actually liking sparkling water? I know a lot of people don't, but it's so good. So there were a lot of questions that you guys asked, so I kind of just narrowed it down and combined a couple. The first and most popular question that I got is what got me into reading / what book got me into reading. So what got me into reading was probably maybe like 2 years ago at this point. I hadn't read a book since high school, which is like 7 years ago. But when I was in school, I read every single day. I could read a big book like front to back in one day. It was my favorite thing in the world. And once I got to college and I grew up and started working, I just kind of stopped reading. And then one of my best friends told me that she started to read the 𝓢𝓭 series, and she was telling me how much she freaking loved it. And also the other books that she was reading, she was just recommending to me. She was like, oh my God, and if you go on Goodreads, we can like track each other and we can see what each other are reading. And then my husband started to read. He got into reading some like mystery and thriller book. I think the one he was reading at the time was The Silent Patient. So we both decided to go to Barnes & Noble, get some books. He bought The Silent Patient, and I ended up getting Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, and that was the first book that I read that got me back into rediscovering my love for reading. I've always loved it. I just kind of had to come back and rediscover and reignite the love for it. And ever since then, I'm a reading machine. The next question is really cool. It's my favorite book to movie adaptation, or my most like anticipated one that I'm excited to see in the future. I really had to think about this because oftentimes I usually am always the book is better than the film. It's not always the case, but in most cases it is. I thought about it for a really long time, and my final thought is that my favorite book to movie adaptation is the Twilight series. I know that's probably a little underwhelming for some of you, but maybe some of you are very excited about that and can relate to it. When I tell you that when I was a teenager in middle school, when those movies came out, it was my life. Not just my life, I was Twilight. Twilight was me. I had every single piece of merchandise. I even got made fun of in school for liking it so much, and I would wear all of the merchandise to school: buttons, shirts, bags, hair clips, anything, you name it, I wore it. And I did get made fun of for it, and I would do it again. I am really looking forward to actually seeing the new movie, The Housemaid by 𝓢𝓸𝓷𝓷𝓮𝓬𝓽𝓭 McFadden. Obviously, that's the book, and I loved the book, and it's being adapted into a film, I think either in 2025 or it's coming soon. And I am so excited for that because as I read 𝓢𝓸𝓷 McFadden books, they read in my mind like a film. So I can only imagine what they're going to do to actually make it come to life. I hope that they do it justice. I'm sure they will. The cast is already really, really good and seems very promising. So we'll see. Next question is, what are my favorite reading accessories? That is super easy. It is my Kindle, 100%. My Kindle and the pop socket that I put on my Kindle because it makes reading it so much easier. I've had a lot of different accessories. I feel I used to have like a little light that I would put on my neck for like reading in the dark. That's really handy as well. I love using that. I have a bunch of accessories for my Kindle, like the little stand that you can clip on the table, and I also have the little like remote for it as well. I didn't love that. I'm very simple. I don't need a lot of accessories to like enhance my reading experience. All I need is the book or the Kindle and some nice, pillows and blankets, and I'm pretty much good to go. But yeah, definitely my Kindle. I do have the Kindle Paperwhite, and it's just changed my entire life and change the way that I read. This one was really fun too. This question is, what is my favorite sports romance book? I thought it was gonna be hard, but honestly, I don't read a lot of sports romance, I realize. And it's not because I don't like it, it's just because it's not like my first choice. I don't necessarily gravitate towards a sports romance, but when I do, my favorite sports romance to recommend to people and to listen to and to read is the Vancouver Agitator series by Megan Quinn. Honestly, probably one of the first sports romance books that I ever read. First hockey romance for sure. And when I tell you that the audiobooks are so freaking delicious and so addicting to listen to, truly made me have a new appreciation for sports romance books and hockey romance. They're hilarious. The banter is so good. They are so incredibly spicy. It has everything that you could want in a sports romance book. And there's like 5 in the series, so do with that information as you will. Definitely recommend listening to them on audiobook, by the way. The audiobooks are just so good. Next is my favorite fantasy recommendations. I'm also not a huge fantasy girly. There are a lot of creators and book talkers and booktubers who do fantasy really well, and it's pretty much the only thing that they read and that they talk about, and they are like experts on it. I am not the expert on fantasy. I love young adult fantasy and I like romantasy. So that's more what you're gonna get from me. It's not like my go-to. I really have to be in the mood for it because you have to pay a lot of attention to when you're reading a fantasy book to understand what the heck is going on. And I feel like I get so confused so easily. I feel like I'm not really that smart enough to read a fantasy, if that makes sense. When I do, ACOTAR, obviously, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and the entire ACOTAR series, that was the first romantasy series that I really read when I started reading again. That's pretty obvious though. I also really, really love the Belladonna series. That's Belladonna, Foxglove, and Wisteria. I ate that series up this year. If you're looking for a new young adult, like romantasy, that's also kind of like gothic and scary, spooky vibes, definitely recommend that one. It is so good. Powerless by Lauren Roberts has probably one of my favorite reads of 2024. That one, and then also Reckless, which was the second book that came out. I just love that one so much. Kai is one of my favorite book boyfriends. Lastly is my top 5 favorite books of all time. I don't know how I'm going to answer this question. That is probably one of the hardest things you could ask me, but I will do my best. Without a doubt, my number 1 favorite book ever in the world is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I will reread it till the end of time. I will keep recommending it to people till the end of time. I will never get sick of it. Another one of my top 5s for sure is the Magnolia Park series. All of the books in the series are phenomenal, and I love them all equally. However, Magnolia Park's Long Way Home is my favorite of the entire series, so for the sake of this, I will say Magnolia Park's Long Way Home. That entire series has my heart and my soul, and that's another one I will just keep recommending it to every single person. I think everyone should read that book at some point in their lives. I also really, really love Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonin Young. That just made my soul so happy to read, and it's just a really cozy and beautiful love story. I'm a hopeless romantic, so a lot of the books that are in my top 5 or top 10 are all very, very lovey-dovey romance books. Next is definitely Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. That's a recent one that I actually just added to the list because I just read that book for the first time maybe 2 months ago. So dramatic, so heart-wrenching. It made me cry and throw the book across the room, which is always, it can be a good thing. In this case, it was a really good thing. But yeah, just a phenomenal, phenomenal book. If you haven't read it, you need to. And lastly, was that 4? Is this 5? I think this is 5. Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. It does it for me every single time. Archer Hale is definitely like the top tier book boyfriend ever. He's phenomenal in every single way. He's perfection. Thank you guys for hanging out and getting to know me a little bit today. I have some really fun plans for this channel in the very, very near future. So I hope that you guys stick around so you can see, you know, all the fun that we're gonna have here and help grow and just talk all things books and just have fun here. And if you're not already, definitely make sure that you're following me on all my other social media accounts. I'm gonna kind of put like unique content on each of those, but also cross post all of this normal stuff as well, if that makes sense. And I don't want you guys to miss out on anything. I want us to always be connected, okay? I want to know what you're doing. I want you to know what I'm doing. We're best friends now, so There's no escaping. And obviously, if you're not subscribed to this channel already, I'll wait. See you guys next time. Bye.